Hello everyone, my name is Balent and you are listening to Hoka Talk, a podcast on both YouTube and Spotify. Now, today, as promised on Tuesday's episode, this will be a Euro 2020 special. I look back through the tournament finished on July the 11th. And okay, I'm a bit late to the party, but I promised the one was coming and here is one, so no need for any complaints now. You did a Euro 2020 special, so where's the review? Well, here it is. So, to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the European Championship competition, former UEFA President Michel Platini, the French legend himself, as far as I'm concerned anyway, declared that the tournament would be hosted in several nations as a romantic one-off event, meaning that 11 cities in 11 UEFA countries would each provide venues for the tournament. So, for anyone that was wondering, and if you didn't watch the tournament, Azerbaijan, Denmark, England, Hungary, Italy, Netherlands, Romania, Russia, Scotland, Spain and Germany were those that hosted the games throughout the tournament. And there were 51 games played from start to finish with 142 goals scored, and that was 2.78 per match. And the attendance, and it was so nice to see fans back in stadiums, especially in Hungary, I believe, where they had about 50 to 60,000 in the stadium at one point, which was just nuts to see. COVID, I guess, as far as they're concerned. But yeah, it was just so nice to see. The attendance, as I was saying, was over 1 million, almost at the 1.1 million mark throughout the whole games, and that was on average 21,500 per match. If for anyone out there that is a lover of fun facts, and I am too. The top scorers of the tournament then, with 5 goals each, was Patrick Schick, who scored an incredible goal from the halfway line against Scotland at Hampton, and the GOAT himself, as far as I'm concerned, Cristiano Ronaldo for Portugal, who unfortunately didn't make it all the way to recreate their success from Euro 2016, but him and Schick, I guess, shared the golden boots. 5 goals each for them. Best player of the tournament was given to the goalkeeper from Italy, who's now joined PSG from AC Milan, Gianluigi Donnarumma, and rightly so, I think, although I think, and I will talk about this later, someone else who should have been in contention, or, if they could share it, if that was possible, would be Federico Chiesa, who, is an absolute baller, and this tournament proves it. And, if it could be shared, then Chiesa definitely should also be getting his hands on the best player of the tournament trophy, or whatever it is that Donnarumma had. And the best young player was given to Pedri, Barcelona's whiz kid and wonder kid, and one that's definitely going to be lighting up La Liga this coming season, as he did last season and as he did for this tournament as well. The young man who is only 18 years old, to the 19 in November, but what a first season for Barcelona he had. 37 games, 3 goals. Okay, not the best, but he's only 18. His stats speak for themselves and his assists and so on, and rightly so deserving the best young player of the tournament award. And fair play to Spain getting into the semis after their rocky start to the tournament. I think they drew every game as far as I can remember. Maybe I'm wrong there. They beat Slovakia, was it 5-0 in the final game, or Slovenia, one of the two. I should know because I did a review of this, but we'll get to there when I go through the groups now, because what I'll be doing is just going through all the teams, just talking about how I felt they did they outperform themselves, did they underperform, and we'll start with Group A, because that's what you do. I'm not going from Group F to Group A. We're going to start from the beginning. So obviously Italy, they one of the hosts of the tournament, played all of their games, I think, bar 1 or 2, like in the semis and the final in London, in Rome, and they had a perfect group stage, didn't they? Scored 7 against not all against 1, but Wales, Switzerland and Turkey, and no goals conceded either. Bossed the group, and rightly so the winners. It was a good final, and I will get onto that later, obviously. But Italy, really good to watch, really fun to watch. Immobile had a really good tournament, the Lazio striker, but he kind of just fell off after the tournament, after the group stages even. And then when we got to the knockout stage and last stages of the tournament, I don't know. I think he was more than just trying to create goals for others and so on. But in terms of the group stage, he was, firing goals in left, right, and centre. So they won the group. Wales then finished second. They did well to get to round of 16, but then unfortunately, I say that we lost because I was supporting Wales throughout the tournament to Denmark, but Denmark outperformed Wales in that game, and as a Welshman himself and a Welsh supporter, I'm happy to admit that. I fair play to Denmark getting where they did to the semis, that horrific incident that happened to Christian Eriksen. The team came together, and I think, obviously, that was horrible what happened to the former Tottenham man now playing for Inter, but it brought them together, and I think that was one of the main reasons why they got to the tournament, semi-final, that is. So fair play to them, and I'll get more onto them in a moment or two when I get to their group. Switzerland then finished third. Fair play to them. Also did very well. They knocked out, obviously, France, who I don't think many would have seen come in before the ball was kicked off and the game started, but they did, and they finished third as one of the best third-place teams, and that basically rounds off Group A, because then we have Turkey, who only scored 1 goal and conceded 8, and they were labelled as, by many, I think myself included, to be honest, as dark horses for the tournament. Ones to watch out, they had Burak Yilmaz, Zeki Çelik, they had won the title for Lille in Ligue 1 in France, but they just didn't turn up, and instead of being dark horses, I'm sorry if this offends any Turkish fans out there, but I mean, they were just horses. Forget about dark. Completely outclassed and outperformed by Italy, Wales and Switzerland. Obviously they scored our 1 goal against Switzerland, Irfan Kahveci, which was a banger, to be fair. So the only goal they did score was a banger, then fair enough. But a tournament to forget really for Turkey, and they'll be hoping to bounce back now come the World Cup next year, which I'm looking forward to already, and that will be here before we know it. I mean, it's almost August already. I don't know where the year's going, so maybe they'll bounce back come, obviously, the tournament next year in Qatar, which will be a very unique event like Euro 2020 was. We won't see Euro 2020 again like 2.0, where 11 different countries and 11 different stadiums are hosting games. I think it'll just be 1 or 2 countries like it normally is. But anyway, Group B, obviously Belgium were the winners of the group, 3 wins in a row. And were flawless apart from the 1 goal that they conceded, which was against Denmark. Yusuf Poulsen scoring that goal against them. Denmark obviously finished in second in that group. Finland and Russia third and fourth respectively, going home early. But Finland, I say Finland, we'll start with Belgium obviously. Belgium, with the likes of Lukaku, De Bruyne, you kind of expect them to get out of a group like that. No offence to Denmark, Finland or Russia, although I guess I do I'm offending them by that, but you know what I mean. And they did, and obviously then come up against Portugal in the last stages of the tournament to beat them. It was a good game as well. But the Golden Generation, I believe they're called, for Belgium, easily made their way out of the group, and Lukaku was a tough one to handle and tame. He's a brute of a striker, an absolute beast, and when he starts scoring, it's hard to stop him. Denmark, obviously, I've already mentioned them. Fair play came to the semi-final. A bit of a dubious penalty, Raheem Sterling going down, and fair play to Schmeichel. He saved the penalty, and that was also with a glare, being shone in his eyes by one of the England fans, which, is not okay, and their fans booing when it was a Danish national anthem. I think UEFA or whoever else is sorting that out, or they have been dealt with already. But he still saved the penalty, so didn't really make much of a difference. But unfortunately, that was bundled in by, I believe, Harry Kane, who missed the penalty. But was it a penalty? Was it not a penalty? I guess it doesn't matter now. The tournament's over and done with. But slightly dubious, as I said. And obviously Finland and Russia. I was looking forward to watching Russia play in that because they have Alexei Miranchuk, I believe, plays for Atalanta in Serie A. It was the best thing for him moving there. Russia had a bit of a tournament to forget, although they did win 1 game where they beat Finland, and the man himself, as I just mentioned, Miranchuk scoring that goal in St. Petersburg, where Russia were at the away team, worked that one out. Tournament really to forget with Finland and Russia, but it was always going to be a tough group coming up against Belgium and Denmark for them, but they'll have a chance to redeem themselves, as I said, come the World Cup next year should they qualify. Group C then, which had the Netherlands, Austria, Ukraine and North Macedonia in. Netherlands cruised the group really, as many of us expected. 3 straight wins, 8 goals scored, only 2 conceded. And that was without Van Dijk as well, and fair play to them, although it kind of all fell apart against the Czech Republic in the last stages of the tournament, with De Ligt getting signed off, which didn't really help. I don't know what was going through his mind when he handled the ball like that. Bit of a deliberate handball, wasn't it? But about this Starman and Van Dijk, I say fair play to them. Against Austria, Ukraine and North Macedonia, you do expect them to get out of that group. But Austria themselves, obviously led by their captain, David Alaba, who's now left Bayern Munich and joined Real Madrid, finished second with 2 wins and a defeat, losing to the Netherlands in Amsterdam at Johan Cruyff Arena, with Depay Dumfries scoring in that game. Then Ukraine finished third as one of the best third-place teams, similar to Switzerland in Group A. And there wasn't any, obviously, best placed third teams in Group B. But Ukraine, with 1 win and 2 defeats, got to the semi-finals themselves, obviously, led by, obviously, the former Chelsea legend, Andrei Shevchenko, a legend for his country and for the teams he played throughout his career. They were good fun to watch as well. Yarmolenko for West Ham, who I've heard might be leaving. I think West Ham really should keep hold of him. I think he can definitely provide he can be a good asset even for them for this upcoming Premier League season. I will be actually speaking of that, doing a review. Not a review even. A preview, like I did with the Euro 2020 tournaments podcast. So look forward to that. Hoping to do that before the season starts next month for Watch This Space. But yeah, and then North Macedonia, obviously, they lost all their games like Turkey did, scoring 2 and conceding 8. But what a moment for them when Pandev scored against Austria. Okay, they lost the game 3-1 in the end, which was their first game at the tournament, I think ever. It was their debut. But yeah, what a moment for Pandev. Honestly, in terms of North Macedonian players, he is a legend. And fair play to them for qualifying for the tournament, and it was really nice to watch them play, and the spirit in the team, and to see Pandev banging in goals like that, as he did at the age of 37. But he hasn't got a club either after leaving Genoa, although he might have retired from what I've been hearing after the tournament, and retired from football in general, which is a shame, but I guess, he's 37 now, and his age is catching up to him. But I think the future for North Macedonia is bright. Obviously, they got... Actually, no, I was about to say Yanis Hadji, but he's Romanian, so I completely ignore what I was about to say. They got Alioski for Leeds as well, another good player. And, just hopefully if we can get to see them at the tournament next year in Qatar, whether they can qualify again like they did for Euro 2020 is another thing. But yeah, it was a nice moment for them to see Pandev score and even qualify for Euro 2020. Now, moving from Group C to Group D, obviously we have England, who won the group, 2 wins and a draw. That draw coming against Scotland. Only scoring 2 goals actually and conceding none, which was less goals than Croatia and Czech Republic scored compared to their 4 and 3. But Croatia obviously finished in second. They themselves had 4 points, and the Czech Republic also did. They qualified as a 3rd best placed team, similar to other teams we mentioned already, obviously. And in Scotland, unfortunately for them, went home. But they did put up a good fight against England and Wembley. They really took the game to them, and they kind of had to after losing 2-0 at home to Czech Republic, where, like I said, Schick scored that fantastic goal. And the 25-year-old, I think the best move for him was leaving Roma and joining Leverkusen in Germany, by Leverkusen, that is. And what a goal that was from the halfway line. Obviously, Marshall's a bit out of his goal, but still, you can't take the credit away from Schick. What a finish it was. I think it was the three that I think everyone expected to get out of the group. No offence to Scotland, obviously, but they definitely got a lot to look forward to, and hopefully, as I've said already, for North Macedonia, we get to see Scotland in a major tournament again, be it the World Cup next year, which I'm looking forward to, as I've already mentioned. Shame for Scotland, but as I said, the three that got out of that group, I think many of us expected to, and obviously Schick, one of the best players in the tournament, with his 5 goals, the same as Ronaldo scored. And Croatia as well, is this the last time we'll see players like, Modric play again, because he is getting on a bit now, but we'll see. Regardless of that, whether he will get to see him or not, they still finished second, so in the group, and got to where was it, the quarters maybe, or round of 16? I can't remember. I'll have to look through as I'm going through this now. And then obviously we moved to Group E, where Spain and Sweden got out of that group with 2 wins for Sweden and 1 draw and no defeats, and then Spain with the 1 win and 2 draws. Spain did beat Slovakia, not Slovenia, because they didn't qualify. But Spain really turned it up when they needed to, because there was obviously a lot of pressure on them after drawing to Poland, after drawing to Sweden, but then they beat Slovakia 5-0 in Sevilla with Dubravka's own goal, which was a bit comical, and then Kuchka, and then Torres, Sarabia and Laporte with the actual goals for Spain that weren't own goals. So they turned up when they needed to, and got to the semi-finals. And then, as I mentioned, Slovakia and Poland, fortunately for them, finishing third and fourth and not making it through and going home early. But yeah, I was surprised really with Poland. I mean, obviously Lewandowski should have won the Ballon d'Or and wrongly didn't, but he's one of the most deadliest strikers in Europe, if not the most deadliest. Scoring goals for fun for Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga last season. But yeah, only the 3 goals for Lewandowski wasn't enough. The first one he scored was obviously against Spain in Sevilla, and then the 2 against Sweden. And unfortunately, they did lose that game 3-2 in St. Petersburg. But yeah, I guess the player really out of the group that most impressed me, okay, Pedri got the Young Player of the Tournament award, but that is Emil Forsberg, the attacking midfielder who plays for Leipzig, who I'm hoping get to see in the Premier League, because I think he wants to force a move away from Leipzig, and rightly so, because after his performances at Euro 2020, I mean, most of Sweden's success was because of him. What a baller he is, and he was scoring goals for fun. He scored against Slovakia, scored 2 against Poland, and obviously the game against Sweden ended 0-0, so he didn't score in that. But goals outside the box, inside the box of his head, left foot, right foot, you name it. Forsberg had a really good tournament. And speaking of Forsberg, he is relatively young, as far as I know. I say that because I'm looking through the Wikipedia page now as I'm talking through this. So when I load Forsberg's page up, yeah, I say relatively young. He's 29, so he's I think at the peak really of his abilities. But I think really a move now to the Premier League or wherever else would be good for him. I think where could he fit in? I don't know. Maybe at Tottenham. Will he stay at Leipzig? We'll have to see. But he's been at Leipzig now since 2015. But what a tournament the 29-year-old had. I know how old he is now. But and obviously Slovakia, well, they did win a game, to be fair to them. They did beat Poland 2-1. Skriniar was one of the players I highlighted in the podcast before the tournament began to keep your eye out for. The Euro 2020 special one. And obviously they did beat Poland. Chesney scored an own goal. But yeah, Skriniar scored for them. They only have actually proper goalie scored, because then they took that 5-0 hide into Spain, as I mentioned, lost to Sweden, but they beat Poland. But yeah, Skriniar, the one I highlighted, I knew what was coming. See, I knew Skriniar was going to score. But yeah, moving on then to the group of death, the final group we're going to discuss. Obviously, France, Germany, Hungary, and Portugal. Hungary, unfortunately, were the ones to miss out. I think everyone really expected. Although Hungary did put up a really good fight against Portugal in their first game, which saw over 55,000 attend the Puskás Arena in Budapest. Until the 84th minute, like I said, when Guerrero and then Ronaldo got a double. A fair play to them. The fans were really on their side and helped them win that game 3-0. France, group winners, 1 win, 2 draws, the only team to stay unbeaten in the group. And then Germany finished in second, 1 win, 1 draw, and 1 defeated, and the same record for Portugal, who qualified as the best third place team. And it would have been disappointing really to see Portugal exit the tournament so early with the talent they have, like Ronaldo, Fernandes, Jota, Nelson Semedo, Renato Sanchez, to name a few off the top of my head. Yeah, because commiserations to Hungary, they put up a good fight really in all their games. Obviously they drew against France in Budapest again, where they played all their games apart from one of them against Germany. But yeah, I was disappointed really. I wanted to see Dominik Szoboszlai, who plays for Leipzig after moving there from Salzburg, play, but he was injured. So if Hungary qualify for the World Cup next year, we might be able to see him then. He's definitely, in terms of young talents from Hungary, one to keep your eye out for, definitely him, but obviously he didn't manage to make the tournament. But yeah, there were 4 the best placed, third place teams of all the groups, so Portugal, Czech Republic, Switzerland and Ukraine, with Finland and Slovakia just missing out on goal difference, I believe, to Ukraine, who had the exact amount of points as them, but obviously commiserations to them. But yeah, Group F, what a group that was, right down to the wire to determine who was going through. Like obviously Germany beat Portugal 4-2, Diaz on goal, Guerrero on goal, but then Havertz and Gosens scored. One definitely worth mentioning for Germany, Gosens, what a tournament he had. The player who plays for Atalanta, the left wing back, was at 27, so plenty of years left in him for sure. But yeah, what a tournament he had. Relatively unknown. I heard of him on FIFA and so on, obviously, but I don't really watch much Serie A football as it is. But definitely one of the standout players in that German side for sure. Mbappe, I don't know, he had a bit of an underwhelming tournament as far as I'm concerned. Obviously, the world expected a lot more from arguably one of the best players up and coming, that's going to take over the world, when the Saturday comes that Ronaldo and Messi retire. But yeah, a chance, and you would expect France to qualify for the World Cup next year, to redeem himself there in Qatar. But yeah, and obviously Portugal, don't really need to say much about them. Ronaldo, just what a player. Still doing what he does at the age of, 36? A goat. He is a goat, and that's why I think better than Messi. I think so, but that's for another whole episode or whatever. But yeah, what a goat. And how many goals has Messi scored in the Euros compared to Ronaldo? Obviously, Messi can't score any because he's Argentine, but yeah, he had a good Copa America, and obviously he won that with Argentina. That's his first trophy with his country, so that was nice to see, beating Brazil in the final. But yeah, that is the group out of the way, and obviously then we got to round of 16, Belgium beating Portugal 1-0, Italy beating Austria 2-1 after extra time. Austria really took the game to them, didn't they, in London? Switzerland beating France on penalties in Bucharest 5-4, with the game ending 3-3, 6-goal thriller. Spain beating Croatia 5-3 in Copenhagen. Then Ukraine beat Sweden, England beat Germany, Czech Republic 2, Netherlands 0, and obviously Wales and getting a hiding by Denmark. One thing I disagreed with in that game in particular was Harry Wilson getting sent off. And okay, you're being biased because you support Wales. Well, it wasn't a red card, but it didn't really make a difference in the end because Wales got their arses handed to them, didn't they? But yeah, a chance to redeem ourselves hopefully at the World Cup next year under Rob Page, because I can't see Giggs coming back now. I'm sure you've seen the news, so no need to go into that here. Yeah, Now to the quarterfinals, obviously we had the mouth-watering clash in Munich between Belgium and Italy. Italy edged out 2-1 in St. Petersburg. Spain again going the distance for extra time, beat Switzerland 3-1 on penalties. And shout out quickly to Jan Sommer. What a performance he had at the Euros. The Mönchengladbach goalkeeper in the Bundesliga. Fair play to him, I think they would have definitely conceded probably a lot more goals than they did. Obviously the defence as well, but his hard work in between the sticks, or the post, whatever they call it. Obviously England beating Ukraine 4-0. Was hoping Ukraine were going to put up more of a fight in there, but they didn't. And okay, here we go, I'm going to say this now. England had an easy route to the final, in my opinion. Okay, they played Germany, beat them 2-0, but Germany just sat back the whole game, and really now it's time for a rebuilding for them, with Joachim Löw now stepping aside and Hansi Flick leaving Bayern to take over there, with Julian Nagelsmann taking over there from Leipzig. But yeah, time now for a rebuild, really. They kind of just sat back for the whole game and said, alright, come and attack us then, and we'll try and hit you on the counter, but it didn't work, and they lost 2-0. And yeah, I don't know, that's my opinion. Well, I think England had an easy route to the final. Ukraine didn't really turn up either. They kind of stayed in Kiev, it feels like. Then they played Denmark in the semi-finals. Denmark beating the Czech Republic 2-1 in Baku. Was it a penalty? As I've already mentioned, I don't think it was, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter now, even though I was just about to burp. Pardon me, remember your manners. And obviously Italy beat Spain 4-2 on penalties. Spain going the distance again. And then obviously we had the final on July the 11th, a few days after my birthday, and my eyes were glued to the screen for that game. What a final it was. Obviously we had England take the 1-0 lead, with Luke Shaw scoring in the second minute. Jose Mourinho looking away now as seeing Luke Shaw perform, and what a tournament he had as well for England. Kane, finally found his shooting boot when he needed to. And in the 67th minute, Bonucci made it 1-1, and then we had the penalties. Where Berardi scored his first, Kane scored to make it 1-1, and Belotti missed, and it was advantage England as Maguire pretty much broke the camera, doing slabhead things ready to make it 2-1. And then obviously Bonucci didn't score to make it 2-2. Rashford then missed, Sancho missed, Saka missed, Bernardeschi also scored, and Jorginho missed. But one thing I do want to mention here, the racist abuse directed towards Rashford, Sancho and Saka, which I believe I have mentioned already on various social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, whatever, is just not on. Fair play to Saka at the age of, 19 years, stepping up and saying, I want to take a penalty. I don't think many 19-year-olds would have done that. And, there's just no need for that abuse being directed towards them, And Rashford's mural, I believe, is in Manchester being defaced, where he plays his football, obviously. Just not on. and that's obviously been repaired now. And Sancho as well, being racially abused and targeted, who's now today, if you're listening on Friday, completed his move from Dortmund to Man United. He's going straight in my fantasy team on a fantasy hub. I'm looking forward to seeing Sancho play for United this season, wearing the number 25 shirt. I think many expect them to be given number 7, but that is belonging to Cavani at the moment. I think he's got to earn the right, I think, to have such a prestigious shirt, worn by the likes of Ronaldo, who might be coming back to United as well. I've heard a few rumours there in the pipeline, but whether he will or not remains to be seen. I might do an overview of the transfer window podcast when that closes, I believe next month sometime. So keep your eyes on that and watch this space. But yeah, Bjorn Kuiper's referee, I think he had a decent game. Good attendance, over 67,000 were there, the most Wembley's seen for as long as I can remember. But yeah, the racist abuse, as I said, directly towards them three was just not on. I take my hand off the sack. I don't think if I was in that position as a 19-year-old, I would have put my hand up and said, I'll take a penalty. It was rumoured that Grealish was offered to take one, or presented the opportunity to, but didn't. But he's then come out and said on Twitter that he wanted to, but he just didn't get a chance to. And I see and criticise Gareth Southgate because you shouldn't be bringing on Rashford and Sancho, who've played basically little to no minutes at all. And I said this on Facebook as well, and anybody who follows me on Facebook and is a friend of mine would have seen they were rusty. You bring them on with like 5 minutes, even less than that, to play, and then expect them to take a penalty. And my dad said this, if you were going to do this, or going to do that even, bring them on with like 20 minutes to play. Let them, have a feel for the ball a bit and so on. Make a couple of passes, put them together. But then to throw them in at the deep end and expect them to take a penalty. Yeah, not the best move and decision that Southgate's made, but I think he's reiterated he wants to stay and lead England to Qatar because you imagine that they'll be qualifying for that World Cup next year. But yeah, what a tournament it was, though. A great tournament as far as I'm concerned. Lots of goals scored. Nice to see fans back at the stadiums, and a really unique tournament in that, obviously, as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, 11 host countries, 11 different venues. It was nice to see 24 teams taking part. And I'm looking forward to the next Euros already, which Germany is hosting, and there'll be 10 different venues in 10 different host cities between June the 14th and July the 14th. It's not a one-day tournament, so I was going to say June the 14th. Yeah, that's what it's planned anyway, so put that in your diaries. I know it's 3 years from now, but it'll be here before you know it, trust me. As I said at the beginning as well, I think if you could have shared the best player award, it should have also gone to Chiesa because, his pace is just frightening. And there was rumours that other clubs were interested in him, and rightly so because what a tournament he had. But I believe he is staying put at Juventus. I believe he's on loan there at the moment from Fiorentina. So whether Juventus looks to sign him up permanently remains to be seen. But he was only 23, still young, and I'm sure his father Enrico, who obviously played for the Italian national side as well, and played for many big clubs in Italy throughout his career from 1988 to 2010, was very proud, and rightly so, because what a tournament he had, and definitely an exciting player to watch. Defenders couldn't really keep up with him and handle him or know what to do with him. Although one incident, I'm sure you've seen memes about this going throughout the internet even, of Bonucci's, was it Bonucci or Chiellini grabbing the back of Saka's shirt. How that wasn't a red card, I don't know. I think if that was given as a red card, if it went to VAR, then it probably would have changed the game. Would Italy have still won? I don't know. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because it's coming to Rome, as Bonucci screamed at the camera, not coming home. And I had a bit of banter between people I know. I went to uni in England, not England in uni. Lived there for 3 years. It's just banter at the end of the day. It's not that deep, I promise. And it's just a joke. If you can't take it, then I think you probably need to grow up. But yeah, I'm just looking now. Manchester City have entered a race to try and sign Chiesa. Chelsea as well, but I think Juventus have no plans to let him go. He might even join permanently now. I'm not too sure. But what a tournament Euro 2020 was. And if the World Cup next year can be anything like this, then we're in for a treat. Look forward to it already. And as I said, it will be here before we know it. In terms of distance covered, a fun fact for everyone who loves their fun facts, and as I said, I do already. Jorginho covered the most kilometres out of the whole tournament compared to everyone else, 86.61, and he was just controlling the midfield in heart of that Italian team. He does it for Chelsea as well. Obviously he missed that penalty with his little hop, skip and a jump that he always does. I think he needs to come up with something new now, because I think goalkeepers have figured out what he does now. But fair play to him. And then behind that was Calvin Phillips, 82.9, Pedri, 76.1, Harry Kane, who, like I said, got going and really mattered for England, with 74.3, and Sterling with 68.3 for him. No Alfie player, as I said, was involved for more minutes at the finals than Jorginho, and he made the most of his time by covering more ground than anyone else at the tournaments. But obviously a word too, as I mentioned, for Pedri, the young player of the tournament. He was at the top of this pile, actually. The names I just read out before Spain were knocked out in the semi-finals. Distance covered in possession, Pedri there, Jorginho there, Koke, Calvin Phillips and Laporte, who changed from France to Spain. I guess to have more of a chance to play because he wasn't getting that chance for France. Top speed, if anyone is interested in that. Loic Nego for Hungary was recorded as one of the fastest players. Spinazzola, what a gutting time for him to get an injury. It was nice to see him at the final. He was one of the stand-up players of the tournament. I probably would have said him, actually, should he have not had that injury. Other players then was obviously Kingsley Coman for France, Cody Gakpo for the Netherlands, Dan James for Wales, Marcus Rashford for England as well, who should have seen more game time, as was Sancho, and even Haaland himself, the Norwegian computer, tweeted out on Twitter that why isn't Sancho not playing as much as he should be. Most sprints, Raheem Sterling, as I'm sure anyone would have guessed. He's a quick player. Runs a bit funny. Joachim Mæhle for Denmark. Actually, speaking of Denmark, Damsgaard as well. What a tournament he had. I believe he's only 20. Mæhle for Atalanta. I believe he plays there. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm sure someone will. Do stand-up players for the Danes. Di Lorenzo, another one for Italy, with the most sprints with 276. Calvin Phillips again for Leeds. I think a few English fans, or people I've spoke to that are English fans, were a bit hit and miss, like midfield, defensive midfield of Rice and Phillips. How's that going to work? But work wonders, really. So much so, obviously, they got to the final. And Chiro Immobile, another one. But I suppose that pretty much wraps up the podcast in Euro 2020. A tournament really to remember for more reasons than not. Unique, different. I like different, and as I said, hopefully the World Cup next year in Qatar is just as good, if not better than the Euros were. But congratulations to Italy, commiserations to England, falling just short in the final. Although they'll definitely be in contention for the World Cup next year, that's for sure. So will they be coming home next year? Who knows? But for now, as I've already said, it's coming to Rome and not home. Just remembering Bonucci screaming out in the camera. Fair play to him and Chiellini. They're getting on a bit now, but what a defensive duo them two are at the back for Juventus, and it'd be nice to see them playing again, even if that's their final tournaments, because like I said, they are getting on, but that will have to be remain to be seen even. Thank you to everyone who's listening right now. If you're still here, thank you to obviously all I've shown, all the videos. I can't thank you enough, honestly, and I sound like a broken record saying thank you all the time, but the messages I've received on Instagram, what have you, by people I went to school with, honestly, it makes me want to continue to do this, and I said that when I shared last episode's podcast on my social media accounts. Link to that will be in the description below if you missed it. By all means, check it out. Remember to click the bell on the video to make sure you don't miss any further uploads of Hoka Talk, including this one, and if you want to check out any other videos, they'll be on the channel too. But I'll be back next week now. I believe the podcast that I got in mind to do is The Legacy of Pop Smoke. I got the intro and outro music done already, so look forward to that. I'm looking forward to discussing one thing about his Faith album that came out 2 weeks ago today, and the deluxe is coming out a week today. So yeah, I might even do it on next Friday. We'll have to see, so I can give you my initial thoughts after listening to it. But watch this space. Anyway, my name is Wim Lent. Thank you for listening to Hoka Talk today. Take care of yourselves. Have a nice rest of your weekend, and I will see you all very soon.